Okay, just picture this for a second. You are floating 250,000 miles away from every person you've ever known. You've just swung around the far side of the moon, the first human to do so in over half a century. You've been totally out of contact, just silence, and then the comms crackle back to life. And who's on the other end? The President of the United States. Today, we're going to listen in on that entire absolutely incredible phone call with the crew of Artemis 2.
So this is how it all kicks off. That's NASA Administrator Bill Nelson setting the stage. You can just feel the anticipation, right? The crew literally just reconnected with Earth, and the very first person they're about to talk to isn't just Mission Control, it's the Commander-in-Chief. What a moment.
So let's really set the scene here. The Artemis 2 mission is, well, it's monumental. It's the first time people have gone out to the moon since the Apollo days wrapped up. So this call, it's not just a quick, how's it going? It's a real conversation between the highest office on the planet and the humans who are the farthest away from it. This is the start of a whole new chapter.
And looking at this comparison really shows you how big a deal this is. You know, for 50 years, Apollo was the gold standard. But Artemis 2 isn't just a repeat. As the president pointed out in the call, they actually broke the distance record that was set way back on Apollo 13. But even more important is the why. The whole goal has changed. This isn't just about planting flags anymore. It's about building a permanent presence, a real foothold out there that we can use to go even deeper into space. It's a completely different level of ambition.
Okay, let's dive into the heart of the call, starting with what the president had to say. It was this really interesting mix of, personal congrats, a lot of national pride, and a very clear vision for America's future in space.
50 plus years. Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. For pretty much anyone born after the early 70s, this is the first time in our entire lives that people have been back out by the moon. It's a huge generational milestone, and you could hear the weight of that half-century gap throughout the whole conversation.
Right off the bat, the president framed this as more than just a successful mission. He made it a moment of huge national pride. He talked about the 4 astronauts as symbols of America's ambition coming back in a big way, even calling them modern-day pioneers.
And this is where the call got really interesting, because it wasn't just ceremony. It was a chance to lay out a bigger strategy. The president directly tied the mission to his administration's big space projects. He mentioned reviving NASA, which he said had been in trouble, and of course, creating the Space Force. It all connected back to this bold step-by-step plan. Get back to the moon, stay on the moon, and then push on to Mars.
So that's the big picture view from the White House. But what was it actually like for the crew inside that capsule? Well, the conversation took this great turn from policy to personal experience, and we got this amazing first-hand report from the edge of human exploration.
And the president just asks this perfect, simple question. It's not about the technical stuff. It's, tell me what you're feeling. What's the one thing you'll never forget? He's basically inviting them to share the raw human side of it all.
And wow, their answer, it's just goosebumps. They made it clear they weren't just following in old footsteps. The crew talked about seeing parts of the moon that no one, not even the Apollo guys, had ever seen with their own eyes before. So this wasn't just a return trip, it was a brand new voyage of discovery.
And then you get this moment of just pure cosmic poetry. As they came out from behind the moon, they were treated to a surprise solar eclipse, with the sun's corona flaring around the moon's edge. And get this, right at that moment, they see Mars off in the distance. Seeing all that together made them start talking about us, humanity, becoming a 2-planet species. I mean, what a perspective to have.
Now, let's talk about one of the most mind-bending parts of any trip around the moon. That period of total radio silence when the spacecraft is on the far side. For a full 45 minutes, the crew is completely 100% on their own.
And again, the president asks the exact question that we're all thinking. What does that feel like? To be totally cut off from literally everyone else in existence. It really gets to the core psychological challenge of being out there in deep space.
The first answer was so simple, so honest, and just so human. In that first moment of complete isolation, being farther from home than any other person in history, the astronaut just had a quiet, personal moment.
But then came this follow-up, and you have to love the candor here. After that initial moment, they were so busy, so focused on their work, that the silence actually became peaceful. It was actually quite nice, the astronaut said. I mean, that's an incredible look into the mindset of these explorers.
And they were busy for a very good reason.
As another crew member explained, the far side of the moon looks totally different from the side we see. It's older, more beat up, covered in craters. It's like a pristine history book of the early solar system. So that quiet time for them was also their most intense science time.
So as the call started to wrap up, the whole conversation zoomed back out to the big picture, the future. This was never just about one mission. It was about what this mission makes possible for everyone.
And here's a really important moment. The Canadian astronaut, Jeremy Hansen, spoke up. He specifically thanked the president for America's leadership and for making the choice to include international partners on the mission. It was a great reminder that even if one country is at the helm, this journey to the stars is really a global effort. The call ended on this really wonderful personal note. The president invited the whole crew to the Oval Office, and not just for a formal debrief, but to celebrate. And then, in this great little role reversal, he said he wanted to get their autographs. It was just a really nice gesture of respect for what they'd accomplished.
So when you boil it all down, the entire conversation really just hammered home this clear, incredibly ambitious roadmap. This flight, that was step one. The call made it clear what's next. Set up a permanent base on the moon, and then, from there, we push humanity out to Mars.
Think about it. This was the historic call from Earth to the moon. The crew themselves brought up the idea of becoming a two-planet species. It really makes you wonder, what's that first call from the surface of Mars going to sound like? And who's going to be on the other end of the line?